All right. Well, I am going to take a minute and tell people to go over to Golden Apple Metaphysical page.
And we're live.
Okay, of course we are. The minute I was going to go do something, especially since I can't selectively mute until I can mute tabs. Anyway, actually, wait, I can mute tabs. Holy crap!
You
All
can mute
right.
tabs. Yay.
Yes, that will make our life so much easier.
All
So,
right.
hi.
Hey, Facebook. Unfortunately, look, nobody's watching. It doesn't matter anyway. Not yet. I am gonna put things over. Oh, how cute. We have subtitles. I have my sound down and we have subtitles now.
That's actually really helpful.
That is really helpful.
So,
I'm gonna share this to
okay.
people.
Yep, I'm going to share. Okay, what the? Okay, I am feeling my elderly and easily confused lately. I tried to do yoga and I actually felt my age the first time in ever. That was not a good moment. So, okay.
Yeah. So, as it turns out, we are left unsupervised and completely techno incompetent.
Today we are, yes.
Today we are. Today we
Today
are.
we are. Other days we may be on the ball, but when is anyone around to see us then?
All the ghosts can see us. I have an anecdote about that today that I'll share a little bit later. We do have a viewer. Hello, viewer. Wait, they were
Hi.
off and then they were on. Maybe the viewer's me.
Well,
That would be
I
kind
think
of neat if that was me,
they're flirting with this. It's sort of like the version of dropping a napkin. Or
right?
there we go.
No, I'm going to be honest. It might just actually be me watching. I'm going to click out of that and see if we pop out. For the person who may or may not be watching and the countless people that will hopefully watch us later, we are Left Unsupervised. I'm Nikki Jobin. This is my lovely partner.
I'm Diana Rachel, and we are the co-owners of Golden Apple Metaphysical, which is a metaphysical startup that is Bay Area based.
Mhm.
And I am coming in from Kalamazoo, Michigan, because apparently I'm not very good at intentional moving. And
But that's okay. I think all the best adventures start that way.
completely unplanned, yes. Yes. I'd like to do it less expensively next time.
Yes,
So,
that would probably be a good idea.
yeah. So, yeah, because, yeah, I don't think anybody could have predicted last year this time that this is where I would have wound up.
Absolutely not. This day last year, let's see, today is it's St. Patrick's Day. So we were
Hmm.
2 days into the official shelter in place pandemic.
And we all thought it was only going to be for a month or two.
Yeah, it's just going to be a couple weeks. But I remember I had a partner that was coming in, and then we were supposed to be at Pagonicon in Minneapolis,
Hmm.
and everything got canceled.
Yeah. And I had just met my partner Cinti at Convocation, which I had not planned on going to. And Nikki was, oh no, you need to do this. I know you're doing a Midwestern convention, but you need to do one that's outside of your neighborhood.
Hmm.
And so I went and I ended up meeting my partner Cinti, who is now a big part of what I am building in Kalamazoo with Sun and Earth Metaphysical Solutions. And yeah, we're actually we are now looking to buy a house in Kalamazoo.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, and last year was actually March 8th marked my book anniversary. So
Wow.
the first birthday of Urban Magic: A Guide for the City Witch being released to the public. And I love that my book came out and a pandemic hit, and I've been wanting to find the spoons to write something about that, and I keep going to it, and then
Life happens.
living in a pandemic with basically four kids running around and recovering from a lot of stuff myself takes some energy. And creative energy may be infinite, but it is not infinite all at the same time necessarily when you want it. You can only channel so much at a time, and my channel got shrunk. So I'm
Yeah.
working on rebuilding my channel.
Absolutely. And you've in the past year, you are mostly recovered from COVID.
Yep. I am a COVID long hauler, which I've been talking about in public a little bit more. So I have been having the cognitive issues, which as a writer, not being able to remember words is an issue.
Mhm.
Having trouble with time awareness is a problem. I've been living by a lot of alarms that never used to be an issue for me. And also, like, I would get the stab headaches at random a few times a day, and those are
Oh, yes,
awful because
those
they are
are
not
fun.
like, yeah, those are not normal. Like you can tell it's a blood vessel thing, and then you get terrified you're going to have a stroke. And I did come up with a tea to help with the vascular damage, and that seems to be helping. I haven't been having any problems remembering words.
Good.
My time awareness is better. Now it's just the having time,
Mhm.
and I've actually been able to like get up and do basic abs work and like slowly ease back into the exercise routines and daily routines I used to have.
And then that's in the testing stage for our customer base, yes?
Yes, it is. I'm bringing it to a few other long haulers I know first. And, obviously because of FDA labeling, I cannot actually say blah, blah, blah because it has not been tested in a lab environment. And
Mhm.
so we have to abide by that, which also means I have to figure out a way to make it taste good. Because right now, unless you are very, very motivated to take it like I am, it is borderline unpotable. It does not
Yeah,
taste good.
I remember the Hellfire cider. Hellfire being the optimal word there. I like Hellfire, and that was not tasty.
No, no, there is some suffering involved in that. It was suffering to prevent suffering.
Yeah,
Admittedly, I am a little bit of a sadist, but not usually that much. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Cinti also hates the cider a lot.
Well, I hate it because you put horseradish in it.
Horseradish is
Yeah,
you pretty much
not a
need the right
fan.
genetics to appreciate
Yeah,
horseradish.
not a fan. My dad loved it. I hate it. What have I been doing this year? Well, I started the bones of our shop, created the
Hmm.
website.
Yeah.
I created a couple product lines there. I'm definitely working on more, and we have some of the teas coming from your end.
Hmm.
Some amazing teas, and we have a great product lineup for the future. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
I have my first vaccine shot in.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm slated for my second one the beginning of April. So
That's
even
awesome.
though I'm convinced that I'm immune to everything, I
But better to hedge your
Mhm.
bets.
Yeah, just in case, because then I can go with other immune people and be unmasked.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, there are certain pursuits that would make much easier for you.
There are perks to that. I kind of
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
because right now, while we're unsupervised, I'm just hanging out with my buddies, Shandon and Orange Juice.
Yeah.
That is our drink du jour tonight.
So I have my water bottle. Tonight was the first time in 6 months I've been able to spend time with all of my partners at once.
Very nice.
And it took us like almost a week to figure out a time that we could all see each other. So
Hmm.
it was worth it. I
Good.
miss them so much. And it is very hard to do a cuddle pal when you're across the country and you're all waiting to be vaccinated.
Yes, absolutely. And then when you're planning a trip to be back here, and then that gets kind of fouled up by COVID as well.
Oh, I'm figuring out where to put me. That, yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
because we had plans in February, and then one of my partner's housemates got COVID, and
And there
yeah,
went that.
yeah.
But you just came back from some time off, so I hope that
Hmm.
the last 2 weeks kind of afforded you a little bit of a break, some kind of resting, recharging, maybe,
Has it been 2 weeks? I
possibly.
think I've only taken a week off, but recharge is relative, as you know from having kids. And so because of course, knowing me, no matter how tired I am, I try to do triple duty on things.
Hmm.
I taught at WitchCon, and I still
That's
haven't had
right.
time to go back and watch the videos of the other presenters.
Hmm.
And so I had like a back-to-back week where I had to put all of my videos for PaganaCon together and then for WitchCon. And so that was, putting together one video can be hours and hours of work for a 1 hour video. And I was
Hmm.
like putting together two, and then because I miss overdue, putting together a workshop is usually a 4 to 6 hour process for me before I even start to record or teach it.
But I heard
Which
that you had a really amazing response to that.
I did. The Christian Day, the organizer, told me that I had the highest attendance out of any presenter.
Oh, wow.
So I had at my top point for people watching me live,
Hmm.
because you can watch it live, and now I'm not sure. I think you can go back and pay the admission and see it recorded.
Hmm.
But on the live, I had 337 visitors.
Wow.
And I think there were about 750 total attendees. So that was very close to half.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
yeah, I guess the next after me was Phil Wyman, and he was
Hmm.
doing something about Pastor Wyman. Is it Pastor Wyman? But something about madness. So
Hmm.
invisibility and madness, I'm kind of seeing where people's heads are at.
Okay.
So, but the Invisibility for Immigrants and Activists, there were people that really wanted that workshop. And one of the reasons that I really wanted to teach there is it is connected to the New Orleans community, which has a lot of people that needed what I was offering.
Excellent. Excellent.
And that was hugely important to me. It's also just fucking New Orleans, and I love New Orleans. So there was that. And this month, all of this month is Pagonicon month. And I do actually all of the workshops I submitted did end up in the Vimeo. So the Managing Your Magical Menagerie that has Nikki and our on and off member Oneda when she can make it. And there is my urban magic, and there is a video from this year that is promoting my book Hex Twisting.
Mhm.
And that is, am I cursed or is it just gas?
Did the panel make it on? I thought the panel
It
didn't make
did.
it
I
on.
thought it
Oh.
didn't, but it got added. I am not sure what the reasoning was, but it is there
Mhm.
now. And
Beautiful. Beautiful.
yeah. And so I know we have different people looking forward to exploring it over the month.
Mhm.
I have yet to make it to a live event just because of life. And I know they're doing live events every Wednesday and Saturday. So hopefully these skies will part and I will be able to appear at some point.
Mhm. We also,
So
I'm gonna jump back into WitchCon for a second. We also had the opportunity to do some vending.
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what the numbers were for that, but
Mhm.
we did have several items that are going to go up on the website.
Mhm.
It's
I
been
have
one
a
of those trying
few,
to get
yeah,
things
I have
together.
a few already on. I have the
Yeah.
invisibility candle that's on there,
Hmm.
along with the candle line. I have your rose petal vinegar is on
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So anything that I had a picture for, I pretty much put up there.
Yeah. And I know in the middle of this, we finally found appropriate storage for my herbs so I can actually
Mhm.
start processing away from my home in a more sanitary environment. So I'm super happy about that.
Awesome.
So there will be the rose petal vinegar will be going up. I already have the invisibility incense made. It's just really hard to photograph invisibility incense for some reason,
I wonder
which I
why.
guess should not
I wonder
surprise me.
why. Maybe
Um,
that's a good
and
thing, though, I think.
we also will be offering an invisibility laundry powder, especially if
Mhm.
you are working in an environment where you would like your work uniforms to help you go unnoticed. So,
Oh, that
like
would be
adding a
good.
tablespoon or two of that, so you just add that to your laundry, and so that those will be part of the total line. So you can do the please don't see me,
Right?
and
Not good if you're in the bar industry, though, because you want to be seen.
well, and that was something that we talked about during my workshop was situations where you want to adjust your invisibility, especially if you work with energy rather than spell tools. And there was someone who raised a question about, well, I have a child that is bullied, would this help them? And I thought about it, and so Cynthia and I are in the process of creating something else that helps vulnerable people get noticed by helpers.
Oh,
So
good.
something that raises their visibility to people that would see that are inclined to help and then intervene.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
So that was
Helping
something
people
is coming
one
about.
situation at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Because there is never any one particular thing that solves all the problems. And, invisibility can be especially tricky.
Hmm.
It's safe wording until you get hit crossing the street.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Just jumping into metaphysics now. That's I'm going to roll right into our topics. We have
Hey,
Jennifer
Jennifer.
says good evening. We are on the comments there, and you know what? I realized I didn't put up any of our banners. Look at me. I was all set to go, and I didn't put up any of our banners. That's okay. I'm going to put up the website. We're going to show that sucker there. And Jennifer, it is good to see you. Jennifer actually hosted the Tarot Social last night for the Emperor Norton social group. There were a few people in there. I started the room for her, but I was at work. So she took over the meeting there, and I hope it went really well. Um, I'm not
Oh, she's
sure.
waving back.
Oh, hi, Jennifer. I'm going to roll right into our topics, though. So, when you're working magic, whether it's working with energy, whether you're doing spells, if you're or doing some of the more traditional activities that they attribute, which is doing, there are things that people think are super duper dangerous that aren't maybe as dangerous as they think. But then there are other things that they think are very innocent and very simple, and those are the things that are going to knock you on your ass.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about those tonight. I think that we should start with. Should we start with the things that people think are really dangerous?
I think so. I think that's a good place to start because the need to dispel myths is important. And
Mhm.
the very first thing I ever wrote on witchcraft that got published by Llewellyn was an article I wrote for the Magical Almanac in 2000 that was about being afraid to get started with magic and all
Okay.
of the things people were afraid of that they didn't need to be afraid of.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a coming full circle moment.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, the first thing on our list was, and we've had this conversation before, I think our very first podcast, we were
Hmm.
actually talking about spirit boards.
Yes, aka
Um,
Ouija boards.
AKA Ouija boards. I call mine a spirit board rather than a Ouija board because I always think of Parker Brothers when people say Ouija board.
Right. Well, that's not wrong.
Yeah. So when you're working with a spirit board or a Ouija board, or talking board, some people call them talking boards. A lot of people think, oh no, that's how you open up a portal. That's how you're gonna let the devil into your house. And there's a lot of misconceptions around that. I think in our first podcast episode, we were talking about that people had weird rules, like you have to be male and female to do it because apparently, your penis helps you move the planchette.
Yeah. I mean, I would be duly impressed, but also annoyed to be there for that.
Um,
So,
and I'm quite sure that if you did just absolutely need your penis to do it, a lot of men would be doing it on their own. But that is not. I mean, we've worked the spirit board together, and there was nothing going on but our hands with that planchette and nothing
yeah,
else.
yeah, no sticky bits involved.
Yeah,
So, and I do not think we have ever had a visitor overstay their welcome or even try to. And,
no.
my rundown is possession can only happen with some degree of consent.
Hmm.
And that's the first of all. The second, like with Ouija boards, if you, they were created after World War One for people to contact their lost relatives that didn't survive the
Hmm.
war. It may have been earlier than that, even. I would need to go look it up, but it was after a war.
Yeah.
And did not become scary until it got mainstreamed by a movie. But basically, it's no more dangerous than picking up your phone and calling someone you know, because you're supposed to call someone you know.
Well, you're supposed to, but a lot of people now let's go into the reality of it. When
Yeah,
teenagers get a hold of this, they, of course they're going to be like, "Oh, I want to contact the devil or I want to contact, you know, uh Charles Manson or,
is Charles
just
Manson dead?
I think he is dead, yes.
Okay,
That's why I pulled him out of the hat there.
okay,
Um so not a lot of people are, it's mainly incorrect use that I think is really going to open up those portals. And you know
right.
me, I don't really use a circle for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
The spirit board is one of the few things that I will use a circle for just because, it is like a telephone to the other side.
Yeah.
And when, maybe you're trying to call somebody specific and
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully you have the juice to get that person, but sometimes you don't and somebody else is going to pick up that line and I'm sure that there's a line of people going, "Hey, I want to talk. I want my voice to be heard."
Yeah, well, and it is sort of like I think that this was even before our time, but there used to be those party lines that were common for towns where like one town would have one phone line and the whole house, like the whole freaking town could pick up on that line.
That was not before my time, Diana. That was not
Oh no.
before my time.
There was literally one lady on my block who still had one when I was growing up. It was a very creepy way to talk to strangers, but they were very much alive and still creepy.
Actually, we had a lot of fun on party lines when I was a teenager. We would talk to random people about weird shit, totally weird shit. But yeah, as long as you didn't give them your number. I think that was back when 1-900 numbers were all the
That was
rage.
also a thing, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, because they would no, they had the party lines that you had to pay extra for,
Hmm.
but like this was something that my grandparents would tell me about was when party lines were the only telephone lines you could have.
Hmm.
And so like one whole town or one whole block would all be on the same phone line. So if you called that number, you basically just kept asking until you got the person you actually wanted to talk to, and people would have to go next door and knock on doors to let you know that there was a phone call for you.
Oh, that's kind of crazy cool there, I think. I mean, I guess it's one way to get to know your neighbors, huh?
I think that people were a lot more involved with their neighbors before phones went single line.
Well, it took a community.
It did.
You know,
It did.
That's one thing I can say about the pandemic that I've seen is more community. Like I see a lot of people at the because I'm an essential worker, and at the store that I work at, I see a lot of people that come in to shop for their neighbors that can't go, that don't want to go out or are not able to go out for whatever reason.
Hmm.
It's a lot more, community helpers, I think.
Yeah, one of the best things that I saw from the Sunset community, because I was on Nextdoor for a long time,
Hmm.
is and there's a group on Facebook too that formed. Okay, it was Civil War. Thank you, Jennifer.
Hmm.
But they formed a community club of volunteers to go shop for their elderly neighbors. And then there was basically a phone number or a message that one of the elderly could send saying, "I need this," and they can go out and get them whatever they need. It was really sweet to see.
Yeah, it's nice to see that people are helping one another again.
Yeah,
Because I'll be honest, I've lived in this building not quite a year, maybe 7 months. I know
yeah,
people to nod and say hello, but I
hmm,
don't really know anyone well here.
yeah,
I mean, and partially that is, yes, the pandemic, but
yeah,
I only knew a couple people at my last building too. So
yeah. Yeah, there's just a disinclination to talk to the people that live around you these days that didn't
yeah,
used to be there.
yeah. I have to post this comment from Jennifer. The planchette and the penis sound depends on the penis. The planchette and the penis just sounds like a novel waiting to happen.
And we now have our next supernatural erotica. If I can turn it into crypto porn, cha-ching.
I'm, my brain is just going all these places, but the smart part of my brain's going, just stop right there. Don't feed
Do not
into it.
encourage.
Do not
Do not
encourage.
encourage in any way.
Yeah. So the smart things to do when you are using a spirit board, protect yourself. Be smart. Be specific. If you
No,
want to speak to Great Aunt Ellie, know her full name.
mm-hmm,
If it's someone that's related to you, call them by blood.
mm-hmm. Also, set limitations. Okay, if you come here, this is the conversation we're going to have. When you're
Mhm.
done, be polite. Let them know. Also, have good manners. If you're calling somebody out of the blue and asking them to come visit you, have a little food and water out.
Yeah.
Good manners tends to make a lot of things go a lot more smoothly.
Yeah. And when it comes to a lot of energetic workings, we've seen the power of the laws of hospitality. Really, they set the tone, and I want to say most entities that we've worked with do abide by the laws of hospitality.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. And once that seems to be in the spirit world an almost universally recognized cultural key is the if I invite you into my home with hospitality, I cannot harm you, you cannot harm me.
Mhm.
That does not mean that you won't get sassy with each other, but there is an agreement of no harm, and that when the guest is asked to leave, they leave.
Mhm. Now, where that's not going to work is if you're breaking into an old abandoned house and you're a teenager and you want to use the spirit board there. The laws of hospitality don't apply because you're not in your home.
You weren't invited, you broke in. Also, because it's an abandoned house, if nobody owns it, there is no threshold magic protecting it. So that is going to be a free for all space.
Mhm. So, and that I think is one of the ways that these portals being left open starts. The
Yeah.
other way is not properly closing down your board.
Mhm.
The session is ended, or on the boards that have a goodbye, just ending a goodbye. You have to have that very specific finality of your conversation.
It also helps if you thank whoever it is for coming, unless it's the Fae, but they usually don't use spirit boards much.
Yeah.
So, but a sincere thank you can go a long way in long term peaceful relationships.
Yeah. See, I don't necessarily think of that. I don't say thank you per se
Yeah.
to anything.
Yeah. And for me, like it's actually an important entrenched part of like my background culture. So, and so I work with the Fae, so I have to remember to say appreciated instead.
Hmm. Yeah. See,
So,
because of my fake connections, yeah, I
yeah.
express gratitude and appreciation, but I
Hmm.
don't actually use the words thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see, what is next on our list? Cleansing rituals. So you actually have
So,
a story behind this.
yeah, there is a new friend, and she's going through a phase in her life where she's trying to challenge herself and her assumptions. So I am not mocking her in any way for this, and this is not the first time I've heard this before, but she told me, 'cause she has a friend who does egg limpias, the egg cleansings where you roll the
Mhm.
egg over. And this is a routine part of my practice. It's, part of Nikki's practice to some degree.
With the sandwich
Jennifer
on the
can
top.
do an egg limpia like nobody I've ever seen.
Mhm.
And this is an extremely useful tool for getting negative energy, negative moods, sometimes even smaller entities off of you. And she was concerned about this because of her background and because she was raised Baptist. She's like, well, I don't want that to open me up to spirits. And I am trying to figure out under what circumstance getting cleansed properly could possibly open you up to spirits. And the only way I could see that happening is if you like had an entity attachment and whoever was doing the healing failed to patch the hole, and you just got a new one.
I could also see it happening if the cleansing was so profound that it
Hmm.
stripped you of your protections.
That could happen. That could happen, but somebody would have to, one, have extra tools and be basically using ammonia on the egg to
Mhm.
completely strip you. Like the egg is very, if you spend enough time with the egg and, again, I'm animistic, so you connect with the egg and tell it what you want it to look for, it only takes what you want it to take if you're doing it properly. And there
Yeah.
is a lot of things where it is safe as long as you do it right. And I know this kind of conflicts with a lot of people who believe that intent is everything.
Mhm.
And there's this sort of gray area where intent can help and intent is part of doing it right. It's just not all of doing it right.
Yeah.
So, and I'm so because I used to use ammonia powder to deal with someone who was putting up things that were blocks, and I would inadvertently take down the protections when I did that.
Mhm.
But I've never, ever with an egg been able to overstrip somebody, even when I'm at my most tornado-ish worked up.
But what if
And
there's someone new and they're just completely open?
I could see there being a risk. Again, if you're doing it properly, you seal them up afterwards. Like
Mhm.
you're always
But
supposed
and
to
see,
finish this with a blessing prayer of some kind.
and
And
those are
that's
the
supposed to
keys for
seal.
all of these things that we're going to talk about is when
Yeah,
you're doing them properly.
right.
And so this is definitely among the don't try this at home kids.
Yeah, yeah. Um, another one is, for example, burning a cleansing incense. Again, most cleansing incenses do not strip things down. They're not
Yeah.
going to draw spirits. I know there was one, I think somebody was using sulfur on their roses and they were afraid it was going to draw demons. And the only way I could figure that is if you find a demon smelling the roses, the demon's just going to enjoy the roses unless it just didn't make sense because demons don't come unless a human asks them to. And if you have a demon problem, you have a whole other problem that's a human.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Um, I mean, we know that after a fashion, I like the smell of sulfur. And
mhm.
I do love roses. So if you did that to your roses, you just may find me on your lawn. But
It wouldn't be the first time.
yeah,
So,
for the most part, excuse me, I think I helped your roses.
you very much helped my roses. And I have found you on my lawn more than once. So,
And always invited.
yes, always invited, but yeah, I have found you on my lawn. And
Um,
again, it's the demons don't summon themselves, even maybe for really good roses, but I think they just go take care of them.
yeah. Um, our third item is hexing. Now, I'm not going to say that hexing can't be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, but there are a lot
Yeah.
of practitioners out there that really do know what they're doing. And the act of a hex itself is not necessarily going to be detrimental to you. I mean, if you have the belief that what goes around comes around,
Hmm.
or in karma in that particular cycle, or the law of three, then yes, anything negative that you put out is going to come back to you, but only because you believe that it will.
That there is a lot to be said for the impact of your own subconscious on your
Mhm.
spell work. There is probably no one who is more dangerous to you than you when you work magic.
Yeah.
about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I wrote for Spiral Nature about the law of three being a dying egregor because it kind of is. It was a misinterpretation of something somebody wrote for Green Egg magazine, which is a pagan magazine for older Gen Xers nowadays.
Mhm.
And it's a beautiful poem. It's very Wicca. It came out of some Wiccan tradition, and a lot of people just kind of adopted that as a belief system. And magic isn't physics. There is no way to measure, okay, I put 3 cups of cuss words, so I'm going to get this back now.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And honestly, I'll hex a bitch in a heartbeat. Let's be honest about that. But I always have a reason behind it. It's not just, like the other day I was driving to work and I was waiting for cars to come down the road because I had a red light and this person honked at me from behind me. Now I'm more likely to get out of the car and start an argument with this person than I am to go, oh, let me get pins in my candle here. And
Well, while you're driving, that would be awkward, but
it's doable. It's doable, not going to lie. Uh, but, hexing is probably most people that are actually going to perform hexes, that's not their go to. I think that there's a lot that goes into the actual act of deciding that you are going to perform a hex on someone. And anytime that I personally have decided to do that, that's when other avenues have been exhausted.
yeah. For me, I tend to try to take a measured response. I don't always succeed, but I take a look at what I'm going to come up against, and because for me, spell casting isn't necessarily about expressing my ire, it's about solving a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's will hexing solve the problem, or do I need to take another tack? Occasionally it is about my ire because the problem is how I feel and I want to feel better, and then I will hex your ass. But it takes a while. It takes a while to
But
get there.
yeah, that will take a little bit. And honestly, there's a lot of work that goes into hexing.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I'm kind of lazy. So I will take the easy way out and just punch you in the face.
If I'm in traffic and I'm annoyed, no sex for you. And if that lightning bolt hits you, well,
Okay, well, I never mess with people and their sex unless it's absolutely dire because that's an awful thing to do to someone.
uh, I have to be pretty mad.
Yeah. So those are our 3 things that people automatically assume are dangerous. But they're not. If you are smart about what you're doing, if you are taking the necessary precautions, I'm not going to say that you can do these things with impunity because
No.
that's not necessarily how it works, but you can do them with a degree of safety and they're
Yeah.
not necessarily dangerous.
Yeah. I know. And I think what kind of got us thinking about this is I was going through TikTok and there was somebody who's like, do your research. Okay, that's good. And if you don't learn about gems and crystals, you're gonna die. If you don't learn about altars, you're gonna die. I'm like, what? Like altars, the
Yeah.
only way I could see an altar being dangerous
Is if it
is
falls on you?
if you had a cat with a murder fetish. Like that's about it, you
Yeah,
know?
I don't. I mean, I have an altar,
Yeah.
but let's be honest, I live a really busy life, so oftentimes it's quite dusty. Um, and I haven't died yet.
I will occasionally hear like I'm basically functioning without altars in the space that I am. Like we have something small for the ancestors, and if they want something, they don't even bother to find me. I do not go to that altar. I'll just get the nudge nudge, hey, can you get me some food?
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and so like my altar is literally like anything that would be qualified as altar is literally this big.
Hmm. And
Which
yeah, and really in my house we have 2 deities that are just kind of watch over the house. For me, it's Danu, the goddess of the Tuatha De Danann, and Thor. So that's Brad's patron. So and they just kind of keep over the house. I don't know that he offers any tribute to Thor, really. I do for Danu, but that's just mostly, because I appreciate that things run well in the house.
I could see Thor just appreciating like sharing a beer and having a talk.
Yeah. And honestly, when he does have a beer, it's in, it's literally in like horn mugs, in drinking horns or in mugs that are actually made from horn. So let's see. Jennifer says that she has altars all over. She does.
Yes,
She
and
absolutely does.
have any of them risen up and attacked you?
Yeah, that's a good question.
See, see,
Yeah. We haven't died yet.
yeah.
Um,
There are no attack altars that I know of unless they're
I
like
mean, it's
structured for that.
it's not for lack of trying, but it's never been because of an altar.
Yes, yes. I think that's very true for both of us.
Yes.
You know, of all the things that have had to go at me, my altar has not been one of them.
Yeah.
So,
Um, so next on our list here, going to the flip side, these are things that our next topic is things that people think are totally innocent, that are actually, I mean, this shit can fuck you up.
yeah.
Absolutely. Let me look at my little Google Doc here. Our first one is mirror games. We learned that in my household.
Oh, yeah.
Not that I've ever played them because, I'm not stupid. But and let me just put the disclaimer out there. If you are in non-magical families, this is probably not a big deal for you. Thousands, probably hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of kids have done this for years.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in a magical family, maybe not such a great idea. So one day I woke up and my little girl came up to me and said, Mom, I did something bad last night. And I said, and I couldn't imagine what the hell she'd done. And she said, I woke up in the middle of the night and I went in the bathroom and in the dark I said, Bloody Mary and Charlie Charlie. Well, I know who Bloody Mary is. But who the fuck is Charlie Charlie? Right? So my go-to is I called Diana. You didn't even know who Charlie Charlie was. We had to do a little bit of research for that.
Well, yeah, it took a little bit because it's very much a Zennial thing. It's a kids thing.
Yeah, it
They
is a
have
kid's
created
thing.
their own. They've created their own techno version of Bloody Mary, really.
Mm-hmm. And Jennifer says, "Oh, Bloody Mary," um,
I'm
and
kind of wishing we could do screenshots of the summoning of Bloody Mary with the women from AbFab.
yeah, it has nothing to do with the drink. Um, but what you are essentially doing, what these kids are doing that can have consequences, they are effectively doing mirror magic, and they are summoning something that throughout time and lore and urban legends
Mm-hmm.
has become something stronger than it what once used to be. And while it may have just been a kid's game once upon a time, let's see. Oh, she has light as a feather or stiff as a feather.
Light as a feather,
Light as
stiff
a
as a
feather, stiff
board.
as a board. There we go. Um, but these things, when you don't realize that you have power and you're putting power behind it, they really can summon things that you don't want. And of course, when that happened, there was a load of work to kind of reset all the boundaries because she had invited in something that we didn't want. Um, and my older daughter was like, Mom, that's why all this weird shit has been happening in the house. And, of course I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, all this stuff keeps falling off the walls. And, I don't know if that's cause and effect or if it's just coincidence. I
Or
can't
just
say for
living in the Bay
certain.
Area,
Yeah.
and like
Um,
there's a certain point where we just stop noticing a certain level of earthquake.
yeah. Honestly, I don't get
So
out of bed for less than 5.5.
yeah.
Let's be honest. So, we went through the motions. We cleaned all the mirrors with ammonia, reset all the wards. And I effectively changed the wards to only things that I invite in. As the
Mm-hmm.
matron of the house, it's now things that I invite in. So that way, even if the kids do something silly like that again, and it was really silly, it just doesn't affect the household.
Yeah. One of the things I looked into is I went and talked to Bloody Mary.
Mm-hmm.
She actually does very much like the drink as an offering.
Okay, good.
And, we had a chat. It was mostly just a really getting tired of being annoyed by the damn kids.
Yeah.
And I think she just needed to vent,
Mm-hmm.
which you need some nerves of steel to let somebody like Bloody Mary vent.
Mm-hmm.
Do not do this alone. And then I went and looked up how Charlie Charlie works,
Mhm.
because Charlie Charlie is essentially at this point a servitor rather than a spirit. So
Mhm.
it works like a computer program.
Okay.
And so the computer program just needed to be turned off.
Mhm.
And, your daughter just didn't know how to turn it off.
Mhm.
And I remember one time breaking up a seance when I was like 14 before it started, because one, they wanted to call a friend of mine that had died, and I didn't want him disrespected like that.
Mhm.
But it was also the, okay, so you're going to do the seance and talk to him, but do you know how to end the seance? And nobody did, so they put everything away.
Yeah, that's a yeah. Yeah, we didn't put that on seances on the list, but that's definitely something that people think is really innocent. And
Hmm.
it can open you up to, probably more portals get opened with a seance than they probably do with the talking boards.
I would say almost like a seance works by opening a portal.
Mhm.
And again, if you're going to open a portal, know how to close one.
Yeah. And then the thing with, again, with Bloody Mary and Charlie Charlie, that's mirror magic. Anytime you're doing anything that involves a mirror, you have to realize that that's a portal to somewhere else. If you've ever looked in the mirror and you're looking at your own reflection, but all of a sudden it doesn't really look like you,
Hmm. Yeah.
that really is something else. Now, if you want the physics of it, yes, it's light refracting off the glass and the prism inside there and the backing to give you a reflection of yourself. But metaphysically speaking, you really are entering a completely different world.
And there are things that look like you that aren't you that will run around. There's a whole world of folklore. I want to say it's Irish folklore about the fetch, which is basically your evil twin.
Mhm. Or
So, and this is,
doppelgangers or whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so from there, because, and I feel like this one segues into the next one, is one that most people will think seems relatively innocent that actually isn't: past life regression.
Oh,
Because there's a lot of people who, okay, let's see if I was Cleopatra. Well, at this point, I'm pretty sure Cleopatra had so many multiples she didn't know she was coming or going.
right.
But here's the thing: is if you actually excavate anything authentic, there's a very good chance that you're going to uncover trauma.
Hmm.
So, we talk about the shadow work. Shadow work is not pleasant. It is about excavating trauma. Anything that you do manage to excavate about your past lives usually has to do with trauma you're experiencing now in some way, or some part of your relationships or lives that you don't understand.
Hmm.
And so these people, oh, this will be so cool, I'll find out what it was. Well, and then there's two parts of it. Is one, you're excavating trauma. The other part is, and this kind of goes back into the satanic panic era stuff,
Hmm.
is past life regression falls under recovered memory. Recovered memory is not only like, it's just really hard to pin down for accuracy, and you can convince someone completely that a memory that they did not live through is a real memory for them.
Yeah, if you're
So
if you're
that
good
can,
enough at it, totally.
yeah, that can cause some real damage, especially with they are being led on what to remember with a regression.
Hmm. Yeah, because let's be honest, people, you weren't a queen, you weren't an emperor, you probably were not any kind of nobility. We
And
were we were all peasants. Let's be honest.
there's a lot of toilet scrubbing, and Rome did have toilets,
Yeah.
and it was nasty.
But the thing is that, and for people that are saying, oh, that's not real, honestly, they can't scientifically prove ancestral trauma in your DNA.
Hmm.
And it's just the metaphysical version of that. It's
Yeah,
the trauma in your spiritual DNA.
yeah.
And when you pull some of that up, you're not ready for it. I leave that. It's to quote Bad Boys, let's put that motherfucker in a box, lock it up, and throw it in the ocean like Jacques Cousteau. You know,
Just don't do
um,
like Mary Curie. That ended very poorly for her.
yeah. I don't want to know what the hell was going on in my past lives. I have enough getting through my day to day of this one. Oh well, Jennifer says that they had group toilets with harp players to relax.
They did. They also had to share the same sponge, and they had to do it in groups. Literally, there was no privacy.
Wow. See, the privacy part doesn't bother me. Sharing the sponge,
They
that
were
kind of
sharing
bugs
one
me.
sponge and a bucket of water at the end, and they didn't change
Yeah.
it very often.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Nope. Yep, I'm all good. Enjoying the what is it, the 21st century that we're in? Yeah.
I think Europe has it with like the water closets that are literally just like public closets that are solo. So
Nice,
much
nice.
better.
Yeah, I just like in my current place, we have a separate little bathroom room, like a toilet room. I am digging that all kinds because I can just shut and lock the door and people can use the shower, people can access the closet or the sinks, and no one can bother me. I appreciate that. I hide from my children uh, quite often. What is Jennifer? Don't want to be a singe boy.
I think that has something to do the sponge boy. She doesn't want to be a
Oh, a
sponge boy.
sponge boy. I was like, what the hell is a singe boy? I'm like, what are they burning?
This could be somebody who had a bad incident with me in a dungeon scene, but we'll go into that another day.
Oh my God.
So,
Okay, well, speaking of bathrooms and today's, so today I decided before this, I wanted to wash my hair. So, I have a shower in my bathroom. I also have a bathtub. So, of course, bent over the bathtub and it was washing my hair. I shit you not, something ran its hand over my ass. I looked up. I was like, is that the dog? Is Brad home? Something ran its hand over my ass. I was like, what the fuck?
so now you're getting sexually harassed by ghosts.
I don't know. It could have just been my mind playing tricks on me. I don't think so. But you know what? I
I
was
mean,
kind of like, that's not okay.
if one of your boyfriends was thinking about you really hard,
Yeah, how hard is he going to be thinking about me that he can't just call me and say hello? I'm
I don't know
just
if his
saying.
hands were full.
All I'm saying is that was some weird shit. I mean, I've heard things about ghosts in this complex, but you know me,
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, okay. A slap or a caress? No, they didn't slap my ass, Jennifer. I would have enjoyed that.
I mean,
Um,
if they were good with a massage, that anyway.
okay. I will say not necessarily my ass, but like the area of my back just above my ass, because my ass goes on for days. But yeah, it was just very startling. Like I literally didn't know if my dog had come in because I'm fully dressed. I
Hmm.
just, I have my head bent. I'm bent over in the tub trying to rinse the shampoo out of my hair, and it's just literally like. And I was like, is the dog like running her head over me? I'm like looking for the dog. I'm looking for Brad. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
So I'm tuning. I'm going to try to tune in on that one because, I mean, it's your house, it's your deal. If you enjoy that sort of thing, it's cold, so it definitely feels like a ghost and not something else. That's
Well,
that. Yeah,
it would have to be something that was already here because,
yeah.
pretty much, I mean, I would like to think that my barriers are solid enough for to, avoid anything I don't want to be here.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, if it didn't mean any harm, that's honestly, I have a zero tolerance for things touching me without my consent, so I would just be after that thing's ass so fast.
yeah, like some of the things that it's done have been helpful. Like one
Yeah.
day I'd had the broiler on and was going because I was making keto fried chicken.
Hmm.
So you use instead of breadcrumbs, you use like crushed pork rinds. It's
Hmm.
tastes exactly like fried chicken. It's amazing. And after I was frying them, I was putting them in the broiler to just crisp up. And I guess my kitchen was getting hot because the vent turned itself on. Like, and I was like, I know that it doesn't have an automatic thing that turns the vent on.
Hmm. That is helpful.
Yeah, so that was kind of a trip. That didn't bug me. Little weird things that happen every now and then, but that one was a little startling. That was more startling than I'm actually used to.
So maybe just
Jennifer
save
says
you,
it's the tease.
maybe just say, like, let it know that if it wants to show affection, to do it a different way.
Yeah, pet the dog.
Pet the dog, leave a little heart somewhere. Just,
Yeah.
just,
Refill my whiskey bottles. Those are all acts of love for me. Um,
I think the ghost is more likely to drink. That's an interesting thing is whiskey can actually block ghosts from passing from wall to wall.
okay. Well, I thought
Uh,
maybe if I left a little whiskey out for it.
they would
Um,
drink it. They would probably like the whiskey. Like they'll
you
drink
know,
it,
the,
but it also keeps them from walking through things. It's
so
really
here's
odd.
the funny thing. My love language is touch.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was kind of a funny correlation. But yeah, Yeah, maybe not when I'm, bent over washing my hair and you scare the shit out of me.
Time
Um,
and place, time and
yeah, because
place.
that wasn't so fun. Maybe if I have a headache, rub my shoulders or something. But yeah, maybe not. So I bang my head against the faucet.
Yeah, that would be awkward and off-putting. So yeah, I have a feeling that there's going to be a sorry later, but yeah.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Um, Moving right along. Next on our list is something that I learned about the hard way when I was a teenager. Love spells. Everybody, oh, Valentine's Day, everybody wants to buy love spells. Oh, I want to make this person love me. Oh, I need him. Oh, he has to be a part of my life. Love spells are not the way to go. Because really, they are infringing on someone else's will. And that's a huge no-no. Like, would you, I mean, we live in a, an environment now that consent culture is such a huge thing.
Mhm.
And back in the day, we didn't think that love spells were a big deal.
Love spell, yeah, when I first started, love spells were kind of labeled as white magic. We don't usually really use white or black magic labels anymore
Mhm,
because there's some messed up roots to that definition, and anything can be good or bad.
mhm,
And love spells are tricky, even when you're doing a general attraction spell, because you almost have to do your own shadow work, which
mhm,
sucks. Or you're going to just continue. This is the other thing, is even doing general attraction spells, unless you really absolutely know what you want and have absolutely no confusion about your love life or your sexual identity or your sexual orientation or your desire orientation, unless you're very clear with yourself about all of that, then what you're going to do is basically attract your trauma cycle person over
mhm,
and over again. And so, I have done love spells with to repair partnerships that were having issues.
mhm,
In retrospect, at least one of them, I would have been better off just trying to break us up. And this is another one. Yeah, we know. And this is actually another one that a lot of people wouldn't think of. Is sometimes it's a good idea to do a breakup spell on a relationship, on your own relationships.
mhm.
It actually helps extricating and makes the separation go a lot more smoothly, especially if you're someone whose breakup cycle is, we're going to boomerang 10 times, make it so much worse, and then completely collapse everything in a disaster.
Mhm.
And so in that way, breakup spells for yourself are in a way a safety feature of love spells.
I like that. I never thought about that way. Um, I definitely do have a love spell gone wrong. Um, Way
That's a
back
good
in the
thing.
day when I was a little baby witch. Way back. Let's turn back turn back the clock. Turn back the clock. Jesus, 30 years ago. Baby Nikki. So innocent, so not sweet. Um, there was a boy that I liked. I was a freshman. He was a senior. Didn't know I existed. I think that in the circle of life, there's a reason for that. I decided that I was going to do a love spell. I found a book that I swear was the Key of Solomon. I swear to this day that it was one of the lesser keys of Solomon, but I know that those spells are not contained in that, which is
Yep.
why it's so weird that I have that vivid memory.
Yeah.
Um, and I
I
did
was
I did this love spell on this boy. And from someone who didn't notice me to for a week, we had one class together. For a week, was at my locker every day, drove me home, picked me up, talked to me on the phone all night, to the extent that his friends were looking at him saying, what the hell are you doing? Why are you with this person? Like, I mean, it was complete personality change for this person. And quite frankly, it freaked me out and I reversed it. And the minute I reversed it, I went up to talk to him and he literally said to me, "Who the fuck are you?" And like his best friend was like pulling out his hair. And, in retrospect, I look at this and I realize the reason this person didn't know I was alive, like I was not on this person's radar, is one, he was gay as it turned out later in life. He came out, and so I would have never been on his radar anyway. So talk about a complete, like, going against someone's will. I mean, I don't think that you can go much farther than that. And I wasn't thinking about it like that. I just wanted a boy to like me. But it was something that's so dangerous. Like, and it couldn't have been a joke, because really his friends were there. One, there was no one that could have heard me do it. And
Hmm.
two, even his friends were doing that. And I look at it now and I'm just appalled at my younger self for not, even though there was no way that I could have known the extent of altering this person's personality. But the fact that I think that I was just really lucky that it didn't turn really violent,
Yeah, because love
and
spells
they
can lead to
can,
obsession.
they absolutely can. And at that time, I fully believed in karma.
Hmm.
And I did get my karma to come back to me, because the very next relationship that I was in was very controlling. I was with someone that told me that they loved me, and was mentally and physically abusive. And I learned that the hard way, but I didn't leave, because every time I said that I was going to leave, he threatened to kill himself. And I was a kid. In fact, I don't even think I think I wasn't even 16. So it was longer than 30 years ago. Um, and what do? You don't have the mental capacity
And you don't realize
to
that
be
when
able to
they
maneuver
threaten
that.
something like that, that's exactly when you're supposed to get the hell out because
Hmm.
they're holding you hostage.
Oh yeah. I mean, he literally slit his wrists. And it wasn't until I had a good friend of mine say, this person is not an okay person for you to be with. This is not healthy for you, which I knew it wasn't okay. But it was just, it was a banana situation. So,
Yeah,
one, being controlled in any way, shape, or form is not a fun experience. And two, if you truly believe your karma will come back to you, it will.
yeah, yeah. The time I tried love spells in college, and I had gotten out of an abusive relationship, and Laurie Cabot is kind of a grand dame of witchcraft. She
Hmm.
actually has written some stuff that really works well. If you
Yeah,
want to
I
do
love
magic
a
and
lot of
have
her
it
stuff.
work, start with Power of the Witch. It's phenomenal.
Hmm.
She did have a book of love spells. She did talk about the ethics and the free will, and again, even environmentally, shit can go wrong.
Hmm.
So I had one where most love spells work is there has, Nikki is the grand exception to being able to do this. But most love spells work by you already have to have a relationship or some interest in the person. Those are the ones that are more likely to work. So the out of the blue can work, but I think that you have to pretty much be Nikki.
Oh God. Um, while you're telling this story, I'm going to pause for 1 second. I hear something going on upstairs, and I think it's my
Okay.
daughter.
Okay, that's important. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, what happened is I was in college, and I basically was the one girl who was friends with about 13 guys, which made it almost impossible to date in a very small campus. And I had just gotten out of an abusive relationship, and no car, rural campus, nowhere to go. And so I kind of was doing the what the hell, I will just mix up a love potion that's supposed to be for attraction. And I was dealing with the dorm room, and so back then, this is before you were really allowed to have anything useful in a dorm room. So my cauldron was a little hot pot, and so I brewed up this love potion I found in Laurie Cabot's Love Magic, and I didn't have anything else to store it in, so I stored it in a used Dr. Pepper bottle. And then I took the Dr. Pepper bottle and put it in my mini fridge with the other Dr. Pepper bottles that were full of Dr. Pepper. And I was done with class for the day. I was watching TV. I opened the fridge without looking and opened a Dr. Pepper and took a slug of it and realized I drank my very not tasty love potion that I'd planned on just wearing like a perfume over the course of a few weeks. And I went and I swallowed it because I was just surprised, and there was just nowhere not gross to spit it out. And put the rest back in the fridge, and about 20 minutes later, there was a knock on my door. And a good friend of mine was showing up shirtless, and he was very fun to see shirtless. He was a competitive rollerblader who worked on everything, so it was a lot of fun to see him shirtless, trailing Twizzlers everywhere in this very odd state, and he had just suddenly needed to see me. And I was like, okay, so I'm basically having sex presented to me with someone I'm attracted to that I have a little bit of relationship with. But there's like something about the look in his eye where it just didn't seem quite right. And so I did eventually usher him out of my room, back to his room, and tucked him in bed because we did have this. Given that it was the early '90s, it was unusual that we kind of had a quiet watching out for each other's consent policy with my friends, which given the day and age was something of a miracle that we had that. But tucked him in bed, and the next day he came and talked to me. He's like, yeah, I kind of had a nervous breakdown during my frat time, and he was doing frat pledging, and I was in a schizophrenic state, so thank you for not taking advantage of that. And I was relaying about, like I had mentioned, about accidentally drinking the love potion, and then relaying this weird incident with my friend, and my roommate just burst out laughing, going, do you realize what happened, Diana? You drank the love potion and it showed up at your door. And I had not even connected that these signals had gone out. And, you know, in retrospect, honestly, if I could get more shirtless rollerbladers at my door, I might do it, but maybe not now. And, but it was a good one. I think I've told you the story, right?
I just came in on really shirtless drinking a love potion and shirtless rollerbladers.
I had made a love potion, and you're supposed to wear it like a perfume, and I accidentally drank it.
Whoops.
And apparently it sent out the bat signal to a friend of mine that I'd been sort of hooking up with. Well, he was in the middle of pledging a frat during Hell Week, and it made him walk away from his pledging party.
Yikes.
Like, he ditched it completely, was in a schizophrenic state, and showed up. And
Oh, wow.
I passed because something didn't seem quite right. And he did thank me for passing the next day because there was a lot not quite right.
Okay.
But yeah, he was pretty. That was a fun memory. Magic may not have worked how I wanted, but oh, that was fun.
I like that. Yeah, I was at a party once where we drank a Loki potion.
That had to be
Remember that was when I met James,
oh
and
yeah.
there may have been some angry people by the bathroom being out of service for an hour.
And then there's that karma. But
That was fun though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Oh yeah, Loki. It's Loki potion. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It makes you act on impulses that you probably would not normally act on in public.
the only times I really do with Loki, all he ever does is asks me for chocolate and eyeliner. Which, to be fair, I'm a good person to ask for both.
True that. True that. Yeah. So just don't do it with love potions. Like honestly, if this person doesn't want you for you, do you really want them to love you because of some freaking potion? Because it's not gonna last. It's not real.
Yeah, what I've been telling people that want to add a little magic to their love lives or work in their love lives, and in a way, given the things that were going on in my life in late 2019, it's kind of ironic, is I was doing this reading for these two women in San Diego who came in together before I taught a class.
Mm-hmm.
And what I told them both to do is start writing your own love story.
Oh,
Manifest the
that's
structure.
representational. Yeah, representational magic.
Yeah, basically manifest it by writing the story you want to have, figure out how you would feel at the end of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then create your story, and the right characters will walk in. Because I'm a writer, when you write fiction, the characters take on a life of their own.
Absolutely. And every writer of fiction that I know says that, like, especially for people that write
Mm-hmm.
series,
Yeah.
that sometimes when it takes a long time for another book to come out, it's because the characters haven't spoken to them. Like they're not ready for their story to be told yet.
Or the writer started telling the story and the characters went, yeah, I'm not doing that. Here's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that has happened to me
Um,
so many. It's the reason I don't do a lot of fiction is my characters are squirrely motherfuckers.
well, sometimes you're a squirrely motherfucker too.
That is payback.
um, now I will say we do sell some love magic items in the shop.
Hmm.
However, for the spell kit that I have for love magic, it's really specific. I give you homework. Like you give homework when you do your readings. I give you homework when you do the love spell, the kit. It's one, don't think about a specific person because if you think about a specific person, I've already put the kibosh on that.
Hmm.
Um, and specific traits like if you love to laugh, having someone that's funny but in a similar humor to you is a really important trait. If you love to read, maybe they don't have to love to read, but maybe that they have to be really understanding that you do have that love. Like finding traits like that are really, really important to put out there. And
Also, if you're poly, knowing what you can sustain reasonably.
exactly. Absolutely. And then afterwards, your homework after you've done the spell is to put yourself out there. Because I'm sorry, if you're sitting at home with your nose in a book, Prince Charming is not, or Princess Charming, depending on who you are, or non-binary charming is not going to come and knock up on your door. You have to put yourself out there. You have to put some actionable things behind the magic.
I mean, I am the weirdo who had a crush on Nicholas Nickleby, but that's a whole other.
Hey, there's a universe where he is, or a dimension out there where, he might have a crush on you back.
I had an entire relationship with Trent Lane.
Oh, I'm going to tell you, back in the day, I wrote stories about, okay, I don't know if you remember this show, Friday the 13th, the series.
All right, sorry, there's some idiot revving outside.
Yeah, I have people talking in my hallway, no worries. Did you ever see the series, Friday the 13th, the series?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh, it was great. It was about these people that their uncle, the girl, the uncle died, and she inherited, or the boy or the girl, they inherited an antique shop. But what he sold was cursed antiques. And they inherited this shop and they had to recover all of the cursed antiques.
Oh, okay. Warehouse 13 was sort of like that too.
Oh, I never saw that. But
You would enjoy it.
there was a character in there that I was absolutely in love with. Absolutely. Like, I mean, I was again a teenager,
Mm.
absolutely in love with, but we had a creative writing class and I wrote this whole story about our love affair in Ireland because my love of Ireland goes forever. And like it was this whole like, I mean, my teacher was like, I've never seen you write something with so much detail. And you know what? Maybe there's a universe out there where he's in love with me too.
So you wrote fan fiction, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a
Yeah.
fanfic writer, so
Well, yeah, I didn't
that's kind of
realize it
awesome.
at the time, but yeah, see.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um,
So a quick one, a quick sidebar, because this won't take very long, but two things that are often thought of as completely safe that are not: herbs and crystals.
oh yeah, no, that was our next one that we
That
were
was our
actually
next
going to
one.
go to.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I felt like we are going to a very interesting other direction, so I wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
So
this
with
time
herbs,
you're bringing the train back around.
sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm the squirrel, and sometimes I'm the conductor. So I've been an herbalist for 25 years, and that has included the occasional inadvertent self poisoning. Just because something is natural does not mean it is safe. In fact, everything around you, even the unnatural things, were composed of natural material.
She's almost killed me several times.
Uh, uh, it, yeah, you are kind of like Mike Henny. So,
Myrrh, myrrh.
yeah, fair. One time, and now we know. And I did find something recently, some actual external validation of that incident that we will talk about later.
Okay.
So, because I've been digging into obscure occultist lore again. But for example, poison ivy is arguably an herb. And you can have an allergic reaction to literally any substance. That's why I have to allergy test for every tea that I make.
Mm-hmm.
And what works on me, you may still be allergic to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can develop an allergy at any point in your life. You can have drug interactions and contraindications. Even though it may be dealing with a lower dose chemical, they are still chemicals. Water is still a chemical. Water can still have stuff in it, even if it's
Mm-hmm.
not well water. Even most bottled water isn't necessarily safer for you because most of it is actually packaged from municipal places, and there are no filtering regulations in most of it in most
Mm-hmm.
states. So it is just a lot of people think it's safer or that because something is natural, it's safe. It is not. And I hear someone say that again, I would love to just dump them in Australia and see how long they survive.
Right?
Because even the platypi, cute little platypi, have poison darts in their legs.
Hmm. Well, just as an example, cinnamon. There's cinnamon in a ton of stuff. One of the
Mhm.
members of our group allergic to cinnamon. So
Yeah.
anytime I think about creating something, I either
Hmm.
think, can this person use this? Or I have to make sure to let this person know they cannot use this product.
Yeah. I have had to adjust teas for people because of allergies to honey,
Hmm.
cinnamon, astragalus, chamomile, which is considered the most innocuous of teas.
Yeah.
And these are the things that are relatively safe. There are things like when ma huang was around, ma huang raises your blood pressure. Yeah, it's great for your asthma, but it does horrible things to your heart long term. It's there is some wisdom in the poison is the dose. There can be too much of a good thing.
Hmm.
And you just have to continuously educate yourself, especially since the way people used to find out about which herbs were poisonous was, hey, Joe, eat that. Well, so much for
Whoops.
Joe.
Conversely, there are some things that are poison that do have medicinal value.
Yes, for example, foxglove. I do not
Mhm,
touch that. Do not touch it with your bare hands after it's a year old,
mhm.
and possibly even
But
before then.
it contains, what is it, digitalis, that is used in heart medication?
It's digitalis. It's actually an important
Mhm.
component in heart
Yeah.
medication. So for someone with heart problems, they may be given something made from foxglove.
Mhm.
Uh,
Stinging nettles.
mm-hmm,
If you touch them with your hands, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. But it makes a wonderful tea, and it actually is a recommended tea for sin eaters.
mm-hmm. It's also fantastic for hormone balancing.
Mhm,
So especially for women at any point in their development, because
mhm,
there's a lot of nutrients in there that help us balance out. There's one that is popularly thought to be poisonous that is not, and that is wormwood.
mhm.
Wormwood is used to remove parasites from your dogs and from other things. It's used, surprisingly, it is used for people with liver poisoning
Mhm.
at
But
times.
just but it's just you have to know when to use it. If you're burning
Mhm.
it,
You
be
will trip
outdoors.
balls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't breathe in the smoke because it'll make you sick. It won't kill you, but it'll make you sick.
Or your ex-husband will have to extricate you from his Geo Metro by promising you a steak as long as you stop trying to hug the sun. One time. I was tripping balls pretty badly.
Um, there are things like, okay, we can tell this story. Myrrh, frankincense and myrrh, we've all heard about those. That, I love frankincense. The smell of the myrrh smoke makes me violently ill.
As we found out the hard way.
The
Sorry.
hard, the hard way. Oh my God, that was so awful. I felt so awful.
You passed out for a while, and I was trying to get you up to get you out of there, but you wouldn't move.
Yeah, I wouldn't move. I was on that giant bean bag,
Yeah.
which comfy as hell, but I was not moving because I
I don't
wanted
think
to
that's where
die.
you really wanted to die.
That is not where I wanted to die. I know where I want to die, and it involves Tom Hiddleston.
Fair enough. Since he may try to beat you to that. But fair enough.
I have an inside track.
So the other one is people talk about the wonderful qualities of crystals and gems and drinking gem water.
Mm-hmm. I was just gonna say that.
So malachite, lovely green malachite that's so good for your heart chakra, has lead in it. Don't. And Cinti has more detailed things to say about that. Also, mercury, things with mercury in it, not your friends,
Mhm.
unless you like your hair falling out.
Not a
And
fun, not a fun thing. I'm gonna
yeah,
say that.
so you need to understand the chemical compounds. If you're going to make gem water, it is a much better idea to do an energetic transfer than anything where you would be ingesting the chemicals.
Mm.
What I mean by an energetic transfer is, for example, you have the amethyst here, you have the jar of water here where the amethyst is not touching. The sun goes through the amethyst into the water jar so that light hits it. And even then, I'm not entirely sure the chemicals wouldn't go in somehow because stupid shit happens around me.
Well, honestly, they even the water bottles that they make with the
Yeah,
gemstones are enclosed in something, so they're not sitting like they're not floating around in the water.
yeah,
They're enclosed, and basically the essence is transferring to the water.
yeah. So it's the similar idea to the moon water, where people will put out the water under different moon
Hmm.
phases. Also, don't drink your rainwater that you've charged unless you've strained it several times. And something I've learned the hard way, because rainwater, it's natural, right? You still need to put in vodka to preserve it.
Yeah.
That rainwater
And
has
let's be
living things in
honest.
it that will rot.
Yeah, and you hope that the rainwater is actually rain and not something that's released from a plane.
Ew. Yeah. Ew.
Just saying. Just saying I live by the airport.
Well, that must give you some interesting things to think about in the daily, because ew. So generally, I wait until it's storming really good, so everything would be filtered out. But even then, rain forms by water molecules collecting around a drop of dust and falling to the earth. And sometimes those you don't necessarily know what that drop of dust comes from.
I have one word for you: microorganisms.
Hmm. And some of them will eat your nose from the inside, so maybe don't mess with that.
Ew. Ew. I like my nose.
Swamp water's dangerous, all I'm saying.
Okay, I'm not trying to drink any swamp water. Oh no, I was thinking maybe bog water. Bog water is kind of gross as well.
Yeah, well, they're pretty closely related, so that makes sense. So
You have to have the right
that's the
conditions
basic
for a
of,
bog. Yeah.
yeah, the do your research. And these books that have the qualities of gemstones are wonderful, but they do not necessarily tell you the chemical composition or what those chemicals might do to your body. Or why skin contact, even with some crystals, is not necessarily a good thing, and there's a reason most of them have a metal setting.
Hmm. Yeah. So.
And even some metals are not necessarily your friend. We don't actually know their long-term impact of contact with your body. Yeah, nope, and bog waters, especially if you've seen Labyrinth.
I hadn't seen. I mean, I have seen Labyrinth. I wasn't thinking about bog water for there. I was thinking about the bog bodies that they found.
Oh yeah, the preserved ones.
Yeah, because you have to
Yeah.
have a certain oh God, what's the word? It's a certain, like, it has to do with microorganisms, but you have to have a certain like they have their own kind of weather and patterns, and there has to be very specific things that are happening in the environment
Hmm.
for bogs like that to actually happen. It's an incredibly fascinating process. But
That's
like they found animals that they've dug out, they found bodies. What is pH?
pH.
It's not
Yeah.
just the pH. It's gosh, I can't think of the word right now. That might be because I drank a bottle of champagne. But no, let's be honest. It's not because I drank a bottle of champagne. It's because my brain doesn't work sometimes. Um, and I haven't exactly drank the bottle of champagne left. We'll have to go to whiskey next.
I,
Um,
I need to get myself some champagne. I have a lot to celebrate lately.
yeah. Well, this has been sitting in my fridge since New Year's, so I decided that tonight was the night I was going to drink it. But speaking of celebration, we're going to move past bog waters because either at the end of this or at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to sit up and say whatever I was thinking. We talked about how March 8th was the year anniversary of Urban Magic.
Hmm.
And this year you have popped out a new one. It's like she's
Yes.
popping out kids, but she pops out books.
It,
Uh,
it, it, I have heard arguments that it does count as labor.
it does. It is a labor of love. It's a labor of creation. And I've seen what you go through when you are writing these books, and you are definitely creating your own little baby.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be fair, the second one did have the path greased pretty good.
Yeah.
So
Let's talk about your current book that is on pre-order.
I have a book on pre-order, Hex Twisting Counter Magic Spells for the Irritated Witch, and this is a book that looks into the, okay, have you been cursed? And if so, what can you do about it? And what can you do to get creative about it when people get especially persistent and obnoxious? And so we will be talking about lots of things, including reversal spell, twists on reversal spells, so not just a direct reversal. You can turn a reversal into a call forwarding. You can turn it into an opposite state. You can have all sorts of fun with it. Ways to deal with spirits when they decide to be jerks, and a few twists on even house cleansings so that you can incorporate house cleansings into your warding practices with a little less work.
Mhm.
And there's quite a bit in there. It is on pre-order, so please, please, please pre-order if you are able. That does very good things for me as an author. Also, Urban Magic is 9 reviews short of 50 reviews. When it hits the 50 review mark, that is when Amazon starts putting it in their newsletters and on their suggests.
Awesome.
So if there's 9 people out there who have read my book and haven't reviewed it yet, please, please, please put in a review on Amazon. It really does make a difference for me and help me out and helps me be better able to write more books.
Yeah, and it was an amazing book. It was, it was thoughtful. There was a lot of content that you did so much research, and I know part of this because we did kind of you did the workshops, but I was kind of your bouncing board for that.
Yeah,
And just to see the things that I never thought of when thinking about city magic.
yeah.
And then for
And
hex twisting, we
well, we kind of
every
looked through it.
spell in there we have pretty much, well, I did the read through for you, but then
Mhm.
pretty much every spell in there is tried and tested, and Nikki did not die. Uh,
An important part of that is not killing Nikki.
I'm the guinea pig.
No, we are saving her for Tom Hiddleston. So if he ever watches this,
Yes. God, he's hot. The best Loki ever. That's my celebrity crush. I'll be
I could
honest.
see that. I could see that.
Yeah, he's yum. Um,
I have no celebrity crushes right now. That is so sad.
you know what
But
it is? It's an amazing smile. If someone has an amazing smile, I'm all over that. Really. There has to be a couple other things that go with it, but
well, yeah,
yeah, that is definitely something that I'm like, hello.
it's the smile, the twinkle in the eye,
Oh yeah,
that twinkle. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, there's this one scene in the Avengers movie where he is right about to cut someone's eye out, but he just gets this grin, and I'm like, that's the look right there.
I think that's why my partner Tom has a crush on Tom Hiddleston too.
It's all about I'm going to do something really horrendous, and I'm enjoying the shit out of it.
You have to love someone that embraces life.
It appeals to the demon side of me.
I see that.
Right, I think we want to open the floor to any questions
Yeah,
while
if
we're
anyone
here.
has questions, they're quite welcome.
Yeah, if you
So,
have any questions about if you have any questions about any of Diana's books, if you have questions about any of the products in the shop, anything that
mhm.
we've talked about tonight are just questions about us. I think to a certain extent we are open to answering questions about our personal lives.
Yeah. And so a few things until people can think of something that they want to ask.
Mhm.
So the books I wrote, Mabon Recipes, Rituals, and Lore, and Samhain Recipes, Rituals, and Lore are now an audiobook.
Oh, nice.
So that is now available. The entire Sabbath Essential series is now out on audio, which people have been asking for years.
Mm.
So that is something that can be available to any of you. I do have signed copies of all of the books that I've written available if people want to order them. And I finally got most of my website up. I'm still getting the media kit up, but the DianaRachel.com site is up. It's still not how I want it, but it is up and functioning and not limping anymore. So
You can find any of Diana's books, with the exception of the newest book, because we're not promoting that on our website until
mhm,
after the pre-order.
yes,
Because we want Amazon to get as many of those pre-orders as we can get in.
yeah,
But you can find them on the Golden Apple website. You can see our website on the screen right here.
hmm,
Please feel free to come and visit us. We have videos if you are looking for more left unsupervised videos where we are weird, interesting, oftentimes awkward. Uh,
and sometimes unintentionally hilarious. Yes.
um, you can look through those. I will say that since you've done WitchCon,
Hmm.
like our traffic has tripled.
I noticed
I
that.
love that.
So a lot of people have been coming back, and I know part of it is where's that invisibility powder? So I am getting my shit
Mhm.
together. I am.
Yeah.
So I happen to have my weekend open up because I am also locally doing readings at the I literally forgot the name of it, but Elements opened a second shop nearby. And
Oh,
of
oh,
course,
I know the name of that, but oh,
yeah, I want to say Marysville, and that's not it. I'm not from Michigan, so these things do not stick.
oh, you were thinking about the city. I was thinking about the name.
Right. Well, it's Elements Lavender
Rainbow?
Door.
Oh, lavender. There you go. I
Elements
was like,
Lavender
rainbow.
Door, which is the reason you think of it is it's in the same town where the Rainbow Farm was. The Rainbow
That's
Farm
what
was
I
a
was
famous
thinking of.
pot farm that got raided by the FBI in the 80s. And so the lady that owns the shop has knew those people and has is part of rebuilding this town in Michigan that kind of got wiped out from the loss of that farm apparently. I don't know the whole story, but
Okay.
I'm going to be doing readings there on Saturdays
Nice.
for the foreseeable future, not this Saturday because it's going to be closed for repairs.
Mm-hmm.
And I am available for readings in Kalamazoo. If people want to mask up and come see me in person, we can still do Zoom, or you can just gaze longingly at me through a window, as so many people do.
You can also find Diana and so many of our other services on our website. Speaking of some of our services, Jennifer wants to know, tell us about your next workshops online and off. So what do we
Ooh.
have going on for workshops? I don't do the workshops. I help with some services on the shop, and I will eventually be putting out my own services. But let's be
Mhm.
honest, I'm not ready for that.
When you are, we'll support you.
Mhm.
So right now, what's going on right now is I need to check. I don't know if you can do back admission to WitchCon, so that's just WitchCon exclusive. PaganaCon is going on right now for anyone who wants to do the online conference. It is $30 admission. It is for the course of the month. They have live events every Wednesday and Saturday.
Mhm.
And there are three contributions up. One is a collective contribution from the Emperor Norton Magical Folk Social that Nikki and that Mason, mostly Nikki runs it, let's be honest. I may have founded it, Nikki runs it now because of my whole, walking out in a life I
Yeah,
didn't plan to.
I'm
But
here.
yes, so she runs it, and that one was talking about cultivating a magical menagerie, a multi group, basically a multi belief system group, and making that cooperative. I also have my workshops on urban magic and am I cursed or is it just gas? And
I love that one.
I am unclear what the agreement was for sharing that after, because I don't think Paganicon has exclusive rights to it. So
Mhm.
these may be things I release to the public in later months. I finally caught up with Mirror because again, COVID long hauler, it's been a while for me to get my energy and teaching energy all the way back. So I
Mhm.
was saving it for big events. I am going to be starting to teach through Wicked Grounds again pretty soon, and we will be picking up the shadow work class that I had to cancel when I caught COVID.
Mhm.
And there will be future empath trainings. My partner Cinti is becoming more involved in the empath training as we're starting to incorporate their animistic work with emotions into the empath trainings as we level that up. And I am at this point open to suggestions for what people would like to see me teach, even if it is just something as simple as spell crafting as a thought process. So let me know what you would like to see me teach based on what you've seen me do. Something that Golden Apple has planned long term is that we are looking at starting a spirit worker school.
Mhm.
And so I am planning on working across multiple platforms. I'm just trying to come up with classes that are appropriate to each platform at this time. So, and I don't want to name any platforms that I don't have specific agreements with already, but I probably will be a workshop teaching slut by the end of the year.
Nice.
That is the plan.
Yeah, I just realized that it's paganacon.org. I
Yes.
accidentally put com. So that is what's going on currently.
Hmm.
So if you want to see our presentation, our panel presentation with Arneda or Diana's two video presentations, you can go on there. Let's see, convention wise, the next convention that we are very happy to be physically doing is HexFest.
New Orleans, baby. Yes.
I'm so
So,
excited. I'm
yeah.
planning that trip. I hope that I get the room where the nun stands by your bed. It's a haunted hotel that we're in. And there's supposedly a nun apparition that will stand by your bed in one of the rooms.
If she does that, I'm throwing a vibrator at her.
Nice. Nice.
I may pack my Hitachi just to do that.
Oh, the trauma. Oh, the trauma. It wasn't the fact that she had the Hitachi, it's who I knew she used it with.
I may just get a new Hitachi and burn that one.
Yeah, yes, let's burn it. I like to burn things. Um, yeah, we are very much looking forward to HexFest. Diana will be presenting. I will be vending with some. I'm very excited about the class, the workshop roster there. There are some incredible presenters there.
Oh my God,
Um,
yes.
yeah, and I'm very very much looking excited to that. Plus, New Orleans, riverboats, cemeteries.
Vampire speakeasies.
That's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. Oh, did we have another comment? Let's see. Who's this?
And beignets.
Oh,
Beignets are the most important part of visiting New Orleans. You have not visited without a beignet.
Cafe du Monde, beignets and
Hmm.
cafe au lait. That is my life right there. I'm eating what I want. I'm drinking what I want. I'm flirting with abandonment. It's going to be every hedonistic dream I've ever had. I'm very
Yeah,
excited.
I am restarting my yoga in partly for preparation, but also because I'm going to need new walking shoes
Yeah.
just to get everywhere. Because I like to walk through cities, so
Oh yeah.
it's a thing.
And you know what? It's not even the magical aspects. Like I want to see
Mhm.
the architecture. I want to go to the Garden District and look at all the amazing architecture that they have in the city.
Then we're going to have to make a point of taking the St. Charles line from one end to the other
Yeah, that
on the
would be.
trolley. You will love it.
I
It's better than San Francisco trolley because you do not have to hang on for dear life at any point.
Yeah. Jennifer says that she can help with yoga.
Stretchy
Yes,
nap.
and stretching nap. And I will say that we haven't gotten her back on the site yet, but pretty soon Jennifer will be offering some yoga training as well as Reiki healing through the shop.
And she does very effective distance Reiki. I have been the recipient, and it has been much appreciated.
Yeah. And her just in person Reiki, I can say from personal experience, completely on point. She told me shit about myself that she didn't know, which
Hmm.
was freaking amazing.
Hmm.
Um, I think that that's part of what I love about the metaphysics is that, there's crazy shit that we do, that I do, that, I'm kind of thinking I could be balls out crazy, or, just have a very interesting reality, which I obviously do. But
I
then,
yeah.
uh but then
I,
there's something like Jennifer will do Reiki on me, and she tells me all this shit that she had no idea about, and then I'm like, holy shit, this crap is real.
yeah, confirmation of unverified personal gnosis is really gratifying.
Yeah, it is it helps me, put the crazy back in the closet and say, you know what, maybe this is really my life.
I think
um
I'm just the friend that, like, I think that I'm appreciated by my magical friends because I'm the person who appreciates and accommodates the crazy.
Honestly, I think that you're the catalyst for a lot of people, because
Not wrong.
I've been a witch for over 30 years, and none of this shit became as intense as it has been until I met you. So you just may be that stone on the path that
Hmm.
makes you veer onto the path that you're really supposed to be on. That may just be what you do. But I will honestly say that, you know, like I said, practicing witch for 30 years, over 30 years, and the last 6 years have been definitely, they have expanded my horizons. And I've experienced things that I never ever dreamed that I would experience. So thank you.
And I know what that is for you to say that.
Yeah, I have, I believe in a lot of really weird shit. I'm the person that's like, yes, all the FBI files are now oh God, what's that word where they block out all the things?
Oh, the
Um,
the redacted,
yeah, they're
redacted.
unredacted, and I can go on like the CIA website and go to their e-library and read whatever the fuck I want. I'm that person.
Is the
Um,
smoking gun website still around? Because they specialize in like getting the redaction stuff off.
I don't know, but recently I have been reading about the Illuminati families. There's some pretty interesting things to say about JFK. Did you know? I think I might have said this in one or two of the other podcasts that so they say that we all knew that he kind of dated Marilyn Monroe, Jane
Hmm.
Mansfield, Zsa Zsa Gabor. I did not know that. But that same article that I read, or that same paper that I read, document that I read, said that they were all also ex girlfriends of Anton LaVey.
Interesting.
So interesting. I actually saw Anton LaVey once. We were, we were young people in our early 20s, and we drove up to the house in San Francisco that was on California Street that has since his death been torn down and remodeled. And now it's this ugly piece of crap monstrosity. But we went there and we were looking for him. And this person that we were with, gosh, I think his name was Eric. He'd written a letter to Anton LaVey, and not like a screw you letter or anything, really asking questions because he was very curious. So it was me, my boyfriend Ray at the time, our friend Abel, and this kid Eric. And we went to the house, and I was in the back seat, and he had pulled in front of the house, and he was putting the letter in the mailbox. And the hairs on the back of my neck just stood up. And I turned and looked on the other side of the street. In shadows, dressed all in black with a hoodie, was Anton LaVey leaning against one of the buildings. I was like, oh shit. I'm hitting Ray going, dude, look across the street. He's like, oh shit. Our friend gets back in the car. We're like, go. It was one of those, like stupid young person adventures that you go on. But it was very surreal. And, I saw Anton LaVey in the flesh, and I never got to speak with him, which would have been, I think, a very interesting experience.
I would think so, yeah.
But it was kind of crazy that he was just standing there in the shadows, hood up, watching us as this kid puts a letter in his mailbox.
He probably made a point of watching that multiple times a day because there's probably so many people that wanted to, or
yeah. Well, my
had
friend
questions.
Abel, you've met Abel. Anton LaVey used to come down to the mall where he worked, and he'd come down. I think he'd seen him once or twice in actually the store that he worked at. Mm-hmm. And he was a very colorful figure. There's a lot of San Francisco history around him.
Oh yeah.
I think he must have been, that conversation is probably, if you ever had a conversation with him, hopefully would have been one that you'd taken with you for the rest of your life.
The only encounter I've ever had with anything LaVeyan at all was I was in North Carolina at the Museum of the Bizarre, and they had a chair that used to be an Anton LaVey study that he used to sit in. Nice. And the owner, I believe he passed. I don't know what he passed away from, but he passed away in the last year, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But he dared me to sit in the chair, and I'm like, okay, sure. And I sat in the chair, and all I could say about it was that Anton LaVey had very good taste in chairs. Mm-hmm. It was quite comfortable.
Well, there is still supposedly a mansion in San Francisco on Fulton Street that was someplace that they did rituals. And the walls still have scratch marks from when he brought his pet. I can't remember if it's a lion or tiger off the top of my head, but that he brought his pet with him. And they still have the claw marks along the wall.
I'd leave that to freak people out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that it would be an interesting place to investigate.
I'm trying to, because I lived right off of Fulton, and I drove the full length of it so many times. I'm kind of wondering where it is now.
Mm-hmm. I think it was closer to Golden Gate Park. I mean, you were by Golden Gate Park, but toward the Oak End where it starts ending.
Yeah, right over. Yeah, right before it goes into the other neighborhoods. So.
Yeah, past Stanion, way past that. Yeah. I think so.
Oh, it's in Hayes Valley. Okay.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Now I'm curious because I probably walk by it all the time. There is one curiously large mansion-like building, but it's a Jehovah's Witness hall now. It would be hilarious if that's the one that belonged to LaVey. There would be something really funny about that.
I'll have to research, and on one of our other episodes, I will come back with that information.
The other one is there is another place that is on Fulton that is a Rosicrucian hall. Mm-hmm. And I've been to meetings there, and very, 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 very sweet people who just like their information. I'm not sure what the word is that I went for that. This isn't a COVID brain thing. This is a tired brain thing.
Yeah. Well, we went to the Rosicrucian Library in San Jose.
Oh, the Rosicrucian Library and that museum is amazing.
Yeah, we didn't get to go in the museum, but we definitely went in the library. And the books there were, phenomenal. I think I sat with one of them for half an hour there while we were looking through. And
I got some extra research done. Yeah, I got some extra research on urban magic done out of that visit. Yeah. There was some stuff there I wouldn't have even thought of to look at that was there.
Yeah. The
Honestly,
information is there if you want to look. If you are inclined to search for it, it's amazing. It's amazing what you can find. We did love the gardens too when we were walking around the gardens for a little while.
and the gardens are free to the public.
Mhm.
So if you're absolutely broke and looking for a cheap date in San Jose, pack up a picnic basket and go to the garden.
Mhm. The library's free too. You just
Yeah.
can't go into the museum.
Well, you have to rely on visiting hours then because they're only
Yeah.
open certain days of the week. And honestly, if I
Mhm.
was going to join an occult order, I would probably join theirs just for the library.
Yeah, definitely. Um, it just, it's just amazing how much information that we really have so close to us.
Yeah,
Beyond the internet. I mean, but
right.
actually physically in proximity to us. Um, and there was that when I did my IGTV series, which I have to get back to. I kind of fell off on that, but I talked about the Winchester Mystery House, which
Hmm.
there's a theory floating around that it is actually a Rosicrucian puzzle.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think that totally tracks. And
Mhm.
I've never been there, but now there are things that I want to go see there.
See, I think I'm weird about going to see it because the last time I went with my best friend who passed away within about 6 months of that.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, it's just harder because, like, the only two people I went with were my ex spouse and him.
Hmm.
And both relationships went through drastic changes.
Hmm.
Like, maybe I shouldn't walk through Rosicrucian puzzles with people I really care about. So,
Perhaps,
yeah.
perhaps, which definitely means that I'm going without you.
Hmm.
Um, Not that I think that anything would happen to us because we're pretty solid. We're pretty
Yeah,
solid.
and the puzzle will just go and just shake its head and, like,
Yeah. Um, but I like crap.
okay, it's looking on my
I
end
like
like you
those.
froze. Okay, so there is a sudden freeze on my end. I do not know if I am appearing frozen to all of you all, but in case I am not frozen and Nikki is, Nikki has a passionate love of all things haunted and spooky. And I don't quite share the love, but I live with things haunted and spooky, so there is a certain neighborhood tolerance in my part. So hopefully we will get this sorted out in just a minute, especially since Nikki is the one who is the board operator here, so to speak. So we'll give it a minute and see if that sorts out. In the meantime, left unsupervised, we are moving to roughly every other Wednesday for the time being. We're shooting for 9 p.m. PST when we can. So it's going to be midnight for the East Coast folks. So, hi, I am up too late talking about silly spooky things. And I am going to wait and see what's going on there and give it a minute because I don't really think I can do. Here, she's back.
Here I am. Here I am. This happens like once a night. I've been noticing recently that late in the evenings, I've been
Mhm.
having an issue with my like they're doing maybe maintenance late at night.
That makes
Um,
sense.
so it kicked me out, and I was like, crap. And then it's like, you have no internet. I'm like, what do you mean I have no internet? But
You know,
here I am.
in a year when most people are vaccinated, the internet's going to be phenomenal because people we won't be using it nearly as much.
Yes. Yes. But I'm here. I'm here. I hope nobody left because they thought that we were just kicked out.
Yeah,
Um,
I ad-libbed as best I could.
yeah. We do that sometimes.
Yeah,
I mean, we are getting close to the 2 hour mark. What are we? 1 minute and 43. We have about 15 minutes, so we can,
yeah.
we can definitely ad lib that. Any other questions? I see we have 3 viewers on, one on each of our platforms that we are showing this, so that's kind of awesome.
So thank you for hanging in.
Yeah, we're getting kind of to our wall here that we
I
get
think so.
at the 2 hour mark, and I'm almost out of. Oh, you can't see it. I'm almost out of alcohol,
Hmm.
so that might mean that it's time for bed soon.
I'm thinking it's time for bed, and I need to do another round of yoga so I can start feeling 44 instead of 45. Got it.
46 is the best. Let me let you know.
Well, there are some jokes I would have made a year ago that I can't make now because of kids. So,
Ha ha. Welcome to my life.
yeah, I know.
Well, if you have hung out with us so far, the whole 3 people that are still here with us on our platforms, thanks for hanging out. If there's no other questions, we're going to give it a couple minutes just to see if we have any other questions. But
Hmm.
we kind of shared quite a bit today. We both shared stories today.
We did. There's a lot.
Yeah.
We have kind of a cache of stories. So,
We do. Um, it's very interesting how something will come up and we're like, oh, I remember when.
hmm
Like we didn't
hmm
find out about the sulfur until we made demon tablets.
yeah. So, for those unfamiliar, demon tablets are little clay tablets that basically tell various spirits that they're not allowed in your house.
Mhm.
And so at the time, I do not have these issues now. I was having some human problems, so I had to put some demon tablets up. And Nikki found out that she really likes wet sulfur.
Yeah, I don't. For the record, I don't do drugs and pot, which I don't actually really consider a drug, but it does not work on me. But the smell of sulfur gives me the crazy giggles.
And your eyes dilate like crazy.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Your eyes were so freaking dilated, and you were so damn high. I
That's
have never seen
amazing.
anything like that.
Yeah, I've
You were
never actually experienced anything like that. Actually.
you were like me on absinthe.
Oh,
Hmm.
the absinthe is pretty fun, but how you drink it without the sugar is beyond me.
I like it that way. It doesn't
Oh
need
my
the sugar.
God. Well, you know what? Part of it is that I don't like licorice.
See, and you do have to like licorice. That helps.
Yeah. I was with a fabulous friend years and years ago, and my best friend and I were hanging out at his place, and he had absinthe, but no sugar.
Mm.
Oh, it was awful. It was
It, I think it's like
awful.
cilantro. Like you have the genetic inclination to like licorice or you don't. So, like, since he caught me with salted licorice, so this is how extreme my tolerance is the
Yeah.
strongest, like, they have this finished licorice you can only get in Finland,
Mm.
and they gave me some, and it's the strongest licorice flavor in the world, and for me it was awesome.
Wow.
I can imagine you put that in your mouth, your face would pucker, and then you just like kind of shrink
My
in until
face
there's
is
just nothing of you
puckering
but like a
now
dot.
on the inside. On the inside, I'm puckering up completely.
Yeah.
Not a licorice fan. Also, you mentioned cilantro, which
Also not a fan of that. And genetic, you have to have a genetic thing where you can like either one.
yeah, I
And for
I
me,
actually have when I did my 23andMe, it
hmm
actually showed that I'm genetically inclined to dislike cilantro. It
yeah.
tastes like soap. It's just even the smell just makes me
And for me, I love cilantro.
yeah.
Like I love a good ceviche with cilantro in it. It makes me really happy.
Yeah, it's just one of those crazy things. All right, well, I'm not seeing any questions pop up here. So I'm going to call it a wrap.
Okay.
I want to thank everybody that came out today. We had some really great comments. Thank you, Jennifer. And we saw Elsa here tonight. Elsa sent a heart earlier.
Hi
Um,
Elsa. I saw that.
yeah, so it was definitely a fun conversation tonight. Great topics. So what did we learn today? If you do it right, hexing and Ouija boards are okay. And please don't do love spells on people because they suck.
Hmm. And very
Um,
poorly, almost
yeah.
every time.
And don't drink the lead or the mercury.
So I'm so I get distracted because I just saw my dog try to fold a blanket.
Yes, I wish
Okay.
my dog would do that. All right. Thank you, my loves. Have a great night.
Good
We
night.
will see you in 2 weeks. All right. Let's see if I can end this thing.
She's actually trying to fold a blanket.
Yes, I love that dog.